As U.S. coronavirus vaccination efforts ramp up, a growing number of virus variants could challenge the public health response. Researchers at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles told Reuters that a new coronavirus variant found in California drove a surge in cases during the Christmas-New Year holiday period. Dr. Jasmine Plummer compared the Cal-20C variant to another highly contagious mutation first discovered in the United Kingdom.
We're learning a lot from the strains. If we look at the UK variant, we're actually learning that it's more infectious.
On Sunday, CDC Director Rochelle Walensky said there are over 1,000 cases of the British coronavirus variant known as B.1.1.7 in the United States. She added that it may become the dominant strain by the end of March. The highly transmissible South African mutation was also detected in the United States at the end of January. Reuters data on Sunday showed there were more than 27 million coronavirus cases in the U.S. The nation's death toll is steadily climbing toward 500,000. Rite Aid CEO Hayward Donegan on Sunday said vaccine supply has so far been unable to meet the demand. She added that private sector pharmacies would be best equipped to help with regards to scheduling vaccinations, which is so far still in the hands of state and local jurisdictions. Late last week, U.S. President Joe Biden said the U.S. would have enough vaccine doses for 300 million people by the end of July.
New Zealand's Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern confirmed on Monday that the more transmissible UK COVID-19 variant was found among the latest outbreak of cases, which caused a citywide lockdown over the weekend. It's the first time the strain has been detected locally.
I can share that with you now. Late last night, we received from ESR, our testing lab, the results of the genome sequencing. Now, that's telling us that we were right to take the decision we did. It is the UK variant, for those who follow these things closely, B.1.1.7. So that is the one that's being reported as being more transmissible.
On Sunday, Auckland's nearly 2 million residents were plunged into a 3-day lockdown when 3 new COVID-19 cases were detected in the city. 2 of those cases were the UK variant. Authorities said the source of the cases remains unknown. Auckland's lockdown is New Zealand's first in 6 months. The last lockdown appeared to have largely eliminated local transmission, ranking the country as the best in the world at containing the virus, in an Australian data index of almost 100 countries. The weekend's outbreak burst a travel bubble with Australia, which would have suspended the mandated 14-day quarantine for New Zealand travelers. New Zealand's health department said on Monday there were no new community cases, but 5 in managed isolation facilities.
Former President Donald Trump stands acquitted in the Senate on charges of inciting a deadly attack on the U.S. Capitol. The final tally fell short of the 67 votes needed to convict. But with 57 votes in favor of a conviction versus 43 against, the outcome reflected an unprecedented condemnation of a president. Even some Republicans who voted Saturday to acquit, such as Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, harshly condemned Trump for his role in the riot.
There's no question, none, that President Trump is practically and morally responsible for provoking the events of the day. No question about it.
McConnell said his vote hinged on a technicality, his belief that a former president could not be impeached. Trump's legal team, including attorney Michael Van Der Veen, hailed their victory.
We won, not guilty.
And a Trump spokesperson read a statement from the former president.
This has been yet another phase of the greatest witch hunt in the history of our country.
But the end of the trial does not mean the end of Trump's potential legal jeopardy. A prosecutor in Georgia has launched a criminal probe into the former president's efforts to overturn that state's election. On Saturday, the Wall Street Journal reported the Manhattan prosecutor is looking into loans to Trump properties. Mitch McConnell even suggested Trump may still face criminal liability.
Unless the statute of limitations is run, still liable for everything he did while he's in office. Didn't get away with anything yet.
Security forces used rubber bullets, catapults and armoured vehicles to control crowds of protesters in Myanmar on Monday, demanding the release of ousted civilian leader Aung San Suu Kyi and an end to military rule. In the city of Mandalay, 2 people were wounded from rubber bullets, according to media and residents, though the government and army could not be reached for comment. Suu Kyi has been detained since the coup earlier this month against her elected government. She had been expected to face a court on Monday in connection with charges of illegally importing 6 walkie-talkie radios. But according to her lawyer, a judge said her remand lasted until Wednesday. Violence has been limited during the demonstrations, although police have opened fire on several occasions to disperse crowds, such as this scene Sunday night in the city of Myitkyina. One woman who was hit by police fire in the capital Naypyidaw last week is not expected to survive. The military is also facing a strike by state workers as part of a civil disobedience movement that is crippling many functions of government.
London Zoo is normally one of the biggest tourist attractions in the UK's capital. It's one of the world's oldest zoos and research centres. It has thousands of animals. Charles Darwin has even walked its grounds. But by remaining closed, it's losing around £1 million or $1.4 million a month, and its very existence may now be in peril. Zookeepers, including team leader Kate Sanders, say they're becoming increasingly anxious.
I'm concerned that the zoo might not survive. We are losing so much money. So just feed these animals, it costs nearly £1 million a month. And without any visitors coming in, we're not getting any revenue, or very little. Some people are being very generous and we're getting lots of donations and things like that, but it's not the same as having actual visitors here to support the zoo. And I'm worried.
Lockdowns meant the zoo was closed for 18 weeks in 2020, wiping out ticket sales. The current enforced closure will blow a $2.5 million hole in its budget, on top of the $20.8 million lost last year. Catherine England is its Chief Operating Officer.
We can't furlough animals, and you can't furlough all of the staff that look after the animals either. So really, in terms of what we can take advantage of, there is very little. The number of staff we can actually furlough and not have working is only a handful. So it costs us a lot of money, but at the same time, we're willing to do that. We have to do that for the sake of the animals that come first.
So for now, the monkeys' pranks continue to go unobserved. Penguins remain friendless, and the future remains uncertain.
NASA this week will attempt to land a rover on Mars, and the engineers behind the mission say 7 months of space travel will come down to what they call 7 minutes of terror. That's the amount of time the rover, dubbed Perseverance, will take to descend through the thin Martian atmosphere to the surface of the red planet. But its radio signals take 11 minutes to reach the Jet Propulsion Laboratory near Los Angeles, which means for those 7 minutes, NASA won't know if the robotic astrobiology lab landed safely in one piece or burned to a crisp. Al Chen, head of the JPL descent and landing team, called the entry, descent, and landing phase the most critical and most dangerous part of the $2.7 billion mission. Much is riding on the outcome. Building on discoveries of nearly 20 U.S. outings to Mars, Perseverance may set the stage for scientists to conclusively show whether life has existed beyond Earth, while paving the way for eventual human missions to the fourth planet from the Sun. Touchdown is currently scheduled for Thursday afternoon.
Oil prices soared on Monday. Fears of heightened tensions in the Middle East prompted fresh buying, pushing prices to their highest in around 13 months. Brent crude was up as much as 1.6% in morning trade, while US benchmark futures gained over 2%. Monday's rally follows last week's oil price gains of around 5%. Concerns are growing over the Middle East. On Sunday, the Saudi-led coalition fighting in Yemen said it had intercepted and destroyed an explosive drone. State TV reports say it was fired towards the kingdom by the Iran-aligned Houthi group. Analysts say the tensions prompted the early spike in trading. Others say it was also driven by growing hopes that US stimulus and easing of lockdowns will boost the economy and fuel demand. Oil prices have also been supported in recent weeks as supplies tighten. That's due largely to production cuts by the OPEC group of producer nations and its allies.